streets of Gotham.
Welcome into another edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. I'm Jeff. That's Gerald. Off-camera jokes. But
how long did you practice that off-camera joke?
I came up with it 10 minutes before we're about to record. Anyway, let's talk about Batman Caped Crusader, Gerald. It dropped on Amazon Prime. This was one of the sell-off properties from WB and David Zaslav losing his mind and selling this show to Amazon, canceling Batgirl, and canceling Coyote versus Acme. I am happy this show saw the light of day. Let's just say that.
I mean, to an extent. But off the get-go, the first episode, if that's all he saw, I mean, I wouldn't have blamed him for selling it.
First episode was bad.
First episode didn't hit. It just didn't. Let's jump into it, man. The first episode portrays this show as the 15th installment of Batman Year One over the past decade. That's what it sets this up as. I mean, it spends the entire time showing you that people still think Batman is a myth. Which is every show set in Gotham's favorite thing to say, or any show set in the DC universe. It just, I mean, you look at Arrow, CW, like the first chance they got, Batman's a myth. Everybody loves fucking saying that, especially in the year one of a Batman show. So we get that. We get Harvey Dent running for office. We have Barbara Gordon in a little bit different of a job that she usually is, but she's still involved. Of course, we have Commissioner Gordon, and he's on the ropes as the commissioner, and he's fighting for his job because he's trying to keep Gotham sane. It's just, it sets itself up very much like every other Batman show we've ever seen.
But then it gets much better as the series goes on. The villains are very unique in their portrayals. I do love Clayface here and how they portrayed him as kind of the Phantom of the Opera type character. Then you have Harley Quinn. This is one of the strongest portrayals of Harley Quinn I've seen, or at least one of the most unique portrayals of Harley Quinn I've seen in a while. I think the Penguin portrayal, it missed for me. I appreciate what they did as far as trying something different, but that one didn't land so much.
The thing is, like, we didn't get much with it. I watched all 12 episodes, and we didn't follow up much. Because, like, the first episode, like I said, came off as a Batman Year One Gotham crime war story.
Yeah.
That's 100% what we thought it was going to be. It even ended with a little bit of a cliffhanger about, like, who was Penguin controlling and this and that. And, like, they rested Penguin at the end of it. But I was under the impression we were going to get a full Gotham gang war. And we didn't.
That's what I thought.
I wonder if that's because Matt Reeves didn't want to have that storyline since that's what he's doing in the movies. But
yeah.
Also, is Matt Reeves only able to write Batman Year One or Year Zero stories? Discuss.
Well, I did think the Penguin was going to be a bigger part of this just because they set her up as like this huge overarching gang lord, but then you never revisited it. But yeah, Matt Reeves is great, and I love the Batman. I think I probably love the Batman more than everybody on this podcast. Obviously, I'm a huge Batman super fan, but you know, the story had to be something unique and something we haven't seen before, because how many times have we seen Batman's origins? It's the same thing with Spider-Man. Like, we know he's bitten by a radioactive spider. Batman's parents were killed. He takes it upon himself to wage war on Gotham's criminals. I think this just does just enough to separate it from some animated projects in the past, but not by much. It is set in the 1930s or 40s, so I do like the time change here. But as far as, you know, comparing it to like some of the animated movies, I do not think it's as strong as those.
It's a fine Batman watch. Like, that's what it is. Because what saves it is Matt Reeves' writing. Matt Reeves writes really well-rounded characters, and he brings realism to the Batman the same way that Christopher Nolan did in his series. And, like, I mean, even with Clayface, we never got a Clayface superpower. It was just his face was fucked up from all this like medical stuff he was getting put into him. We got a little bit witchy in the Carnival episode there. and a good amount with the Ghost episode too, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like a lot of the villains, a lot of the stuff was very realism. Even the fights, there was nothing grand and big. It was gunshots and missed gunshots, and then occasional Batman fist pumps, while everybody else threw empty punches. Um, it wasn't that exciting, but the story, Matt Reeves' grounding in his universe, his ability to narrate a story, especially a detective mystery, is very, very solid, and that makes it a good Batman watch.
Yeah, if you're a fan of like noir detective stuff, this is right up your alley. We do get Two Face once again here, and we've seen Two Face a lot recently. Harvey Dent gets corrupted, but I do like how they kind of made Harvey a dick like right off of the bat. I thought that was an interesting move. I also did like Bruce's relationship with Alfred. I thought that was a little bit different because Bruce is kind of like cold to Alfred, and you never really do see that. So that was different. I love the portrayal of Batman here. I thought Hamish Linklater was a great voice of Batman. Uh, like it almost reminded me of Kevin Conroy in like the best ways possible. So I really liked a lot of stuff here. I think there's maybe one or two misses as far as the episodes go, but yeah. Gerald, any favorite scenes or episodes that
Mm.
caught your eye throughout this 10 episode run?
So I really liked because we were texting about this before. It was like we didn't want the same story over again, right? We got a lot of characters here that we've seen a million times, but Harley Quinn, who has I mean, like no matter how much you love her, and I love her, um, we've been inundated with her stuff the past decade or so. Just they've been stuffing Harley Quinn down our throats, um, and even though we get her really early in the series, we get her a completely different kind, but it's still the same character, and I loved it. I really did. It was good. It was exciting. You knew it was going to happen, but you didn't know how. I love that they didn't tie her to the Joker.
Yeah.
That last scene with the Joker was in the end of episode 12 was interesting. Hearing his voice, it's going to
It's a
be
lot deeper
a
than
lot deeper. I kind of
yeah.
like it. I kind of like a villain with a deep voice, like "Oh my Washindaru." Like
Yeah.
let me hear you kill. Like I'm tired of hearing. I'm fine with hearing him laugh. Don't get me wrong. Deep voice villains can laugh just as well, but um, I'd be interested. I'm interested to see what they do with that. Um, but yeah, I think it's the Harley Quinn episode, man. That episode probably was my favorite.
Yeah. I love that Jamie Chung didn't, just do the normal Harley voice that, we've
Yeah,
seen forever. And, Kaylee Cuoco doesn't really do it as much in the Harley Quinn series, but, you know, we got it with Margot Robbie's portrayal. We got it with every other animated version we've seen. So to, put her own spin on it and make Harley like scarier, I think, because like she's not tied to the Joker, like you said. She really uses her psychology background to torment like the rich and powerful of Gotham.
and
And I
brainwash them.
think and brainwash them and turn them against Batman and turn them against Harvey Dent. I really did like that.
Yeah,
And she'll probably definitely return in season 2 because it's already teased. Um, yeah, like Onomatopoeia, who is a very obscure villain, comes.
I'm gonna appeal. Yeah,
Yeah, like that. I
Nocturna.
like that. Yeah, I
Nocturna
never
was the
heard of
carnival.
Nocturna.
Neither did I. So like I watched the carnival episode, and that's the episode that really got me happy because, and I know you said you had a little bit of issues with it, but for me, I liked it because it was different. It was the first time, other than Onomatopoeia, because Onomatopoeia I think came before this one, but it was like really another time. Like I hadn't known this one. I had heard of Onomatopoeia from the Arrow series, so I had read a little bit about him. He's an obscure character, there's no doubt, but I had not heard of Nocturna. So getting that kind of story and seeing that go like the way they navigated that a character that I had no idea about that I'm sure a lot of people like that's probably the one nobody knows anything about. And the way they started that episode, I thought we were getting a Dick Grayson storyline.
Yeah, there's some Robins in there because Stephanie Brown is in there. Like the little redheaded girl does become Robin. So I like that they, introduced us to some major characters, but there's so many still left on the table to play with. Like
Mm-hmm.
you still have a Robin that could come into this. You have obviously the Joker. Like there are the Riddler would be another one. Like there's big villains and characters still left on the table.
I wonder because and you can edit this out if you want, or you can keep it in. Maybe look like a dumbass. I've been talking about it the whole time. But Matt Reeves is the one that wrote the Robert Pattinson movie, right?
Yeah, he directed and wrote it,
So I
and
wonder.
you can see the
Yeah,
influence.
you can see the influence here. It's definitely influenced by the '90s Batman animated series, but like, it watches a lot like the Batman did. What was that? A year ago now? 2 years ago now?
Yeah,
The story, the way the story goes, the actual work the Batman does, he's not fighting as much. Um, really, not that much at all. But it's still good. I think it comes out fine. It's interesting. It's a different take on it, but it's the same. I feel like the villains, they're really leaning into the psycho-ness of the villains, like their headspace, where they're
yeah,
at as a person, how they tick, why they do the things they do.
yeah. And Matt Reeves is rumored to be putting Clayface in the Batman Part Two, and after seeing this, I am 100% down for that.
But I
But
wonder, is he gonna like is this gonna some is he gonna try to tie them in? Like, do you think they're gonna do anything with that?
this is probably going to be separate, but like you can see, like there are so many similarities here. Like Batman is primarily a detective, the Penguin is a crime lord. Like,
It's also time
uh,
differences, right?
yeah, 1940s. So
I
this would be an Elseworlds thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
but I do like when Batman is taken out of his normal uh, setting. Like there's Gotham by Gaslight, which I think is a very very good Batman story, and this one obviously. But Gerald, let's get to our rankings of this show. What would you give season one of Batman Caped Crusader?
I don't know that I can call it an all-star because at the end of the day, there is stuff we've seen here before. Like it's the Batman Year One stuff. It really is, and a lot of the stuff is predictable. Even though it is good writing and it makes the predictability a little less obvious, I think it's still the animation is a little flat. The fights are not exciting. Batman is a martial artist, and you do see it a little bit, but I don't feel like you see it enough. Um, Granted, it's going for that grounded realism thing, but it's just not what I'm here for when I'm watching a superhero animation. If I'm watching a superhero animation, I want to see it go fucking animation, especially in the DC universe that has so much fun colors, gadgets, big fights, and big villains. I really do want to see that in the animation. So for me, it's a starter, a high starter, because the story does, I think, do well, and the characters are written well. I love Harley Quinn. I really liked Barbara Gordon in this. Um, Even having the cop, the bad cop.
Oh, Flass and Bullock,
Yeah,
they were
Bullock.
very good.
Bullock was great. Who, by the way, the voice of Bullock is also the voice of Bender from Futurama.
Oh,
So um,
that's interesting.
there's a few interesting voice actors in here, and I think the voice acting was more than fine.
Yeah.
There's a few. There was one that bothered me that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I can't remember which one off the top of my head. So it obviously didn't bother me that much. But yeah, high starter. Definitely think if you're a Batman fan, it's worth the watch. You're not wasting too much time. It's easy too. So
Yeah, I would say starter, probably a high starter as well. Like it did enough for me to watch season two. Uh, and obviously, I'm not going to lie, I was going to watch it anyway. I'm a huge Batman fan, so it was always going to happen. But I like what they're doing. I do agree with the animation. It is very flat compared to something like X-Men 97
mhm.
or, even What If. But yeah,
It works for
I
the vibe, though. It works for the vibe. It's not jarring at all. Like it's not something that you're like, this animation's trash. It's just it works with the vibe. But like I said, if I'm going to be watching a DC superhero, I want the color. I want the big fights. I want the because they do it pretty good from DC.
yeah, we've seen it before, like Batman Under the Red Hood. I thought had great animation. Like there's
Hmm.
a lot of good ones here. Anything else you want to add though before we get out of here?
Nah, 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 nah.
All right. Well, this has been another edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. Watch Into the Otaku Verse. Gerald just did an episode on theories of Kaiju number 8, season 2, which was announced. We have our Twisters review out. We have our Deadpool and Wolverine review out. Like and subscribe to our page. I'm Jeff. That's Gerald. We will see you guys very, very soon. Have a good one.